Hi, my name is Michael Gilleberto, Town Administrator here in the town of North Reading. We're coming to you here from the center of North Reading, the Damon Tavern, at the facilities of NORCAM, the town's community broadcast partner. I'm here this morning for the first installment of what we hope will be multiple episodes of a new program to be able to provide residents of North Reading with information about what's going on in town and particularly in town government. A little bit about myself. Again, I'm a town administrator here in North Reading. I've been working for the town for the past approximately 1 year and have lived in the town for the past 4 years now. And my hope is that we'll be able to use this as an opportunity to familiarize our residents with what's going on in town, with some of the individuals who make our town government run and who provide town services. So the hope is that we'll do this every quarter or so, most of the time from NORCAM's facility here at the Damon Tavern. We'll hope to talk about timely topics here in North Reading, particularly town government topics, to have a guest or two for each installment, and then to go over some news and notes for what's going on in town. So for today's first timely topic, it's the October 5th town meeting, and with me to discuss the town meeting is our town clerk, Barbara Stats. Barbara, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So what we thought we would do today is to review the some of the protocol for town meeting, maybe learn a little bit about town meeting for those who might not be familiar with town meeting, and then we'll go into the particulars of the warrant articles for the upcoming October 5th town meeting. So, Barbara, I know that perhaps no one in town knows town meeting better than you do, and I know you've put quite a bit of time into preparing some background information about it. So, town meeting is unique, and I know that when I speak with in some cases my relatives and in a lot of times friends who are from out of state, when I describe to them town meeting, they are surprised to hear that we have a legislative body that acts in the way that it does, that basically we all show up and raise our hands to vote or not. Could you tell us a little bit about the history of town meeting and what its origins are?
Yes, Mike, thank you so much. Town meeting is totally unique to New England. It's the oldest and the most direct form of government, and it had its beginnings back in the 1600s. I agree with you when you say that people who come from other areas, they are totally mystified sometimes with town meeting, and based on calls to our office almost before every town meeting, people inquire about certain procedures and things because they don't know how it runs, what happens at town meeting, anything about speaking or what subjects are brought up. So they do call our office and they're looking for this information, and they do find it very interesting because for us it's something we're all used to, but if people come from either a city form of government or out of state completely, and certainly out of the New England area, it is something that is very foreign to them.
So if we were to look historically for town meeting, is it something that people were required to attend when it was first put in place?
It certainly was, and a lot of people don't realize that in the early years of town government, attendance was actually mandatory and fines were levied against non-attenders. So as time went on, though, it certainly became apparent that it was just burdensome for people to attend every session of town meeting that took place. And in those days, they had many town meetings because that's how the business was conducted. So they would be required to show up even at town meetings for items that they had no interest in. So eventually the listing of topics that would be taken up at a town meeting would develop, and that is even the process we use today by publishing our town meeting warrant to notify people about what will be provided in the town meeting.
And that warrant is mailed to our residents, is that
Yes,
correct?
it is. It's mailed out under our charter. It is required to be mailed to each residence 2 weeks prior to each town meeting, whether it's a special town meeting or one of our regular town meetings. Town meetings were all originally open, which is the type of town meeting that we have here in North Reading, with all voters of the town eligible to vote on all issues that came before the meeting. Representative town meetings evolved when open town meetings sometimes were considered unmanageable, either due to accommodating all of the people or due to participation. So in a representative town meeting, voters actually vote for town meeting members to represent them at the meeting. This type of form of government was actually established in the early 1800s for towns over 12,000 or more persons, and a future amendment to the Constitution changed this to allow it for towns of 6,000 or more. And it's been adopted by a lot of towns since then, but the majority of the towns in Massachusetts still function under the open town meeting form of government as we do here in North Reading.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, I appreciate your sharing a little bit of the history with us. Has there been any discussion with regard to town meeting here in North Reading historically that either your records or you can personally recall?
I guess I'm
Ever any discussion about representative town meeting in North Reading?
Oh, yes. That does come up, not infrequently, mostly by the Board of Selectmen, over the years, that are looking for a way to invoke better participation in town meeting, at town meeting. Town meeting attendance fluctuates dramatically, and it is mostly driven by what is in the warrant, what will be on the agenda for the business of the meeting. If people find particular articles of interest, of course they're going to attend. They want to hear what has to be said. They want to be able to have a chance to speak and to vote. But if it's not of interest to them, they won't attend. In North Reading, we don't have a quorum for our regular town meetings. We have 2 regular town meetings in North Reading. That's somewhat of a unique occurrence for a town where they're established under our charter. So they're both actually similarly called annual town meetings. And there's no quorum requirement for us for that. We used to have one, and we had dropped it from our bylaws many years ago due to really a difficulty in getting people to attend at some times, which would hold up conducting the business of the day. But our special town meetings, when they're called for special events, as we've had recently for the new school projects or other such things where we were holding special town meetings devoted strictly to appropriating money for those projects, do still require a quorum for 150 voters. And that usually is not difficult to attain given the nature of the topics. If it's a special town meeting called for a special project, it generally attracts a better crowd. But a lot of people still like the idea of representative town meeting because it's so direct. You can tell that I'm in favor of it, I think, by my reaction, because it allows every voter to have a voice at town meeting. Equal opportunity to speak, an equal vote, weighed equally among everybody else's. You're not giving that to anybody else. You have the ability to show up and express your own feelings and not depend on that being relayed by a representative speaking on your behalf. So it does come up from time to time. We haven't gone that route yet. And, it does have its pros and cons. Whether or not it would assist with conducting the business of town meeting, I can't speak to that. Open town meeting is the only form that I am familiar with, and I do enjoy it.
And I think that all of us in town hall, or certainly those working with the elected officials in town government, want to see participation, increased participation, and that's part of the reason that we're here today, to describe both the town meeting and some of the items that are on the warrant for the town meeting. Again, we're here with the town clerk, Barbara Stats, talking about town meeting. If perhaps you're a resident who's been actively participating in town meeting, if you bear with us while we go through some of the procedural description later in the program, we'll be talking about the warrant for this upcoming town meeting and some of the particular items that are on that warrant. So Barbara, if there were an individual who wanted to attend town meeting, are there any requirements that they have to meet to be in attendance?
The only thing that's required is they register to vote by the deadline for the town meeting. For our regular town meetings, the deadline is 20 days prior to the event. So that deadline has already occurred for our upcoming October town meeting. It was on September 15th. If it's for a special town meeting called outside of our 2 regular town meetings, then that deadline is 10 days prior to the town meeting. That's all that's required. They would check in to receive a badge, and the badge will indicate to the town, to those sitting around them and to the tellers that the moderator may appoint to take a hand count, that they are entitled to vote. All of our town meeting voters do receive a colored badge, and if we have non-registered persons who maybe live in the town or are visitors from outside of the town, they must sign in on another sheet. They receive a black badge that indicates they're a visitor, and they must be voted in by the audience before they can come in. And then they're seated in special areas so that, generally speaking, they are not included in the votes. They are segregated. If they are affiliated with a board, town board or committee, or part of a departmental town board or committee, we also have special seating for them.
Sure. And I know much of the time is spent voting on particular items, and of course some of those items generate discussion, and sometimes it's a brief discussion, sometimes it's a more extensive discussion. How would somebody go about speaking at the town meeting? Do they have to sign up in advance, or?
No, not at all. Town meeting is intended to be welcoming and to allow everybody to have a chance to speak. So the main thing is to stay with the protocol that's required in order to run an efficient meeting. The person would generally stand at their place. We're working within a new venue right now, so we're still working around this new setting at the Performing Arts Center at the school, and microphone placement where we used to have it available to people to come out to. We're kind of asking people to stay at their seats. So what they would do is really just stand at their seat to be recognized by the moderator. And the moderator will keep track through the audience to see who's standing and try to keep track of who stood up first, to keep things in the proper order. And they just wait to be recognized by the moderator, who will point to their direction and ask them to state their name and their address for the record. And once they do that, then they have the ability to speak. In this venue, we're providing high school students as runners to go to pass the microphones to people so they don't have to leave their seats. Where, this could evolve, but right now this is the process that we're using. So once the person has a microphone, they can direct their question or make their comment. And if they're speaking on any particular article, they have, under our bylaws, they have up to 5 minutes to speak at will without permission from the audience. So that is how they address it. Anybody who wishes to address town meeting always should go through the moderator, again, to maintain the proper protocol and efficiency of running the meeting. That is the proper procedures. It's really under parliamentary procedures, which our town follows, Robert's rules in general, and it is the protocol for any meeting or assembly when they get together to maintain order. So the moderator would address each person to speak in response to that question or that person who just spoke, or to bring a new opinion.
Excellent. Is there anything else about the way town meeting is conducted or the way town meeting operates that we should share with those who might be watching?
Well, I guess we would want to tell people about their opportunity to place articles on a warrant. The warrant is mostly comprised with town business, as we know, and two of the key functions of a town meeting, being the legislative body of the town, are to appropriate money for the running of all of the town offices and to pass local legislation in the form of our local zoning bylaws and general bylaws, or to amend the same. But a lot of other issues come up at town meeting, whether it's street acceptance or accepting of Massachusetts general laws chapters that require such. And sometimes there are things of particular interest to residents who want to get an article on the town meeting. So they have the opportunity under what is called a citizen's petition form. And they can come to our office. We have a template form for people to obtain. We give them complete instructions as to when it is due, what the requirements are. And generally speaking, it's a very simple process. They need to collect the signatures of 10 registered voters and their addresses on this form and detail the article that they want at the town meeting. We always suggest that people collect more than the 10 requisite signatures, because sometimes we can't read the signatures when we're certifying, or people may think that they're registered voters and have not actually registered in North Reading. Maybe they came from another community and think that their registration travels with them from town to town. So it is always advisable to tell them to get more signatures than less. But once those signatures are certified by the registrars, then the petition is given to the Board of Selectmen's office, and it would be placed on the warrant. The Board of Selectmen must place that article on the warrant, where it will be heard by the entire town meeting.
Excellent.
Again, it's a great opportunity. You know, it's a unique form of government here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to provide some background about town meeting and to give our viewers an understanding of how they could participate in town meeting. So thank you. What I'm going to do now is go through some of the warrant articles that are on the October 5th warrant for that town meeting. Again, that's 7 o'clock p.m. at the High School Performing Arts Center on Monday, October 5th. There's a total of 23 warrant articles scheduled to be considered that evening. The Board of Selectmen had an informational hearing this past Monday night, Monday, September 21st, where the articles were all reviewed and the opportunity for the public to question or inquire of them was afforded. Of the articles, 9 of them are financial in nature. As the town clerk mentioned, that would be the appropriating or transferring of funds. They include amendments to this year's operating budget. We're in fiscal year 2016 and it ends on June 30th of 2016, began on July 1st of 2015. There's also a request for funding special counsel legal expenses associated with the secondary school building project that's on the warrant. There are 2 water-related articles. One would fund permitting and technical support for a potential water interconnection with the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, and the second would be to fund a study and preliminary design of the connection, an interconnection between the town and the MWRA. And we're expecting that there would be a request for the balance of funding for design brought to the June 2016 town meeting. Those who have been following along, there was a lot of public discussion in June and prior with regard to water, and the selectmen have set a goal of July 1st, 2019 for the town to be connected to the Mass Water Resources Authority, most likely through the town of Reading, with the MWRA providing 100% of our water. Other articles, there's an article on for funding to be appropriated to repair the roof at the Little School, and this would be pursuant to the Mass School Building Authority's Accelerated Repair Project. We're currently working with the architect and owner's project manager to come up with a forecasted cost, and we expect to have that the evening at town meeting for the public to consider for this repair project. Again, this is an accelerated repair project, which essentially means that the MSBA awards funding to towns or regional school districts that are able to follow an expedited process to determine whether the project needs to be done and what the cost of the project is. There are also 2 land conveyance articles on the warrant. One relates to granting of an easement off of Chestnut Street, and the second relates to potential land transfer on Magnolia Street. There are also 5 general bylaw amendments that are on the warrant article. They deal with a variety of factors, including the removal of snow on non-residential sidewalks. There are a couple of articles, excuse me, one relative to visual presentations at town meeting, which was proposed by the town clerk. At the informational hearing on the 21st, the selectmen opted to pass over the article, so we expect that article will not be taken up for consideration at this town meeting. There are also other general bylaw amendments that are on the warrant. There's also one zoning bylaw amendment, which is more of a routine article to update our zoning bylaw to reflect the most updated map as most recently amended at the June 2015 annual town meeting. And finally, there's 2 street acceptance articles, one for Rondon Terrace, and the second is for a portion of Swan Pond Road. Those who have attended previous town meetings may know that last October 2014, the town meeting approved an article that authorized the selectmen to file legislation with the general court that would basically take a portion of the road, which was currently in conservation protection and properly identify it as a public way. The road is used by the traveling public to access a number of homes along the Swan Pond area. This final step would allow town meeting to accept that road as a town accepted public way. That concludes my comments with regard to the town meeting, the October 5th town meeting. As I mentioned at the beginning, our hope is that in this edition and future editions that we'd have an opportunity to share some news and notes. So I do have a few news and notes that I would like to share with regard to things going on in town. The first is that we've got some changes in personnel that have happened in recent months. We have a new Director of Public Health, Bob Bracey, who started at the beginning of September. He replaced Martin Fair, who was here with us for 34 years, and we certainly wish Martin well in his retirement from full-time employment. We also have a new Conservation Commission Administrative Assistant in the Conservation Office. Her name is Christine Doolin, and we welcome Christine to Town Hall. There have been some promotions in the Police Department caused by the retirement of Sergeant Larry Tremblay. Kevin Donnelly has been promoted to the rank of Sergeant. Scott Tilton has been promoted to full-time detective. And Sean O'Leary has been promoted to the position of Detective and School Resource Officer. So those of you who may interact with the schools regularly or have children in the schools, I'm sure you'll see Officer O'Leary in and around those buildings. A final note in terms of a matter that's ongoing, I know that there's been some discussion in town about the August water bills. The Board of Selectmen held a series of public workshop discussions in June and voted on June 22nd to increase the water rate for bills issued on or after July 1st of 2015. The bills were issued in August. We began reading meters on July 1st. That took a number of weeks for us to read all of the meters in town. The bills were actually issued in August. The practice of applying the rate to the bill rather than to the period of time only after the period of usage after July 1st is a fairly common practice for communities that issue quarterly billing. It's a practice that we've been engaged with for a number of years in the way we've issued bills as well. It's something that we'll be putting information up on the website as well so that the public is aware and understands the nature and the rhythm of how we bill. It can be confusing because in addition to the date of the bill, there's also the issue of different rates for different amounts of water depending upon how much water a particular user consumes. I'd like to again thank Barbara Stats, the Town Clerk, for joining me for the first of what we hope will be many editions of this information broadcast. So again, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We thank those of you who are watching for watching the TA report. Again, a friendly reminder to attend town meeting on Monday, October 5th at 7:00 p.m. at North Reading High School. And we hope that we'll be taping the next installment in the late fall or early winter. Thanks for tuning in.